Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me into your home.
Ask me anything.
Daniel, what is it that you wish to achieve by not showing us your face or your voice?
I think the absence of a face and voice could potentially put the focus more on the music, and also it allows me some privacy, and I think privacy is a growing concern.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about your upcoming release, Mapping the Valleys of the Uncanny?
It's music that I've made using a computer, by writing code to organize sound and music, but in contrast to many musics I've made prior to this music, it's organizing certain specific sounds, which are acoustic instrument sounds. And to me, there's a kind of dividing line in music, which runs between electronic and acoustic music somehow. I'm interested in this divide or line, and what it means, for people's interaction with the music and their capacity maybe, to really listen to it, and to take it seriously somehow, on a deeper level, whatever that means.
So what we're hearing is acoustic sound sources composed with electronic and algorithmic means.
Yes, that's a pretty good description. The algorithmic part of how I make music makes it easier for me to get away from how I might imagine organizing sound and music if I did it just in my head. So, for example, if I whistle, all that comes out is major scale melodies that sound like nursery rhymes. But if I'm using a computer, then I can make specific choices about neat things, like scales, and a bunch of other things also, that are outside of my natural or default way of how I would whistle a tune. I really like that, and especially for this material, I felt it was very important for me to try to engage with a language that is part of this world, and by this world I mean, new music, in quotation marks.
There's a political dimension also to using these string orchestra and recordings, and could you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. In the accompanying text I wrote about a forbidden room, a kind of room that I have been forbidden access to, a room that I somehow have to break into or in some other, perhaps metaphysical way gain access to, maybe by walking through walls. This image or analogy, as far as those go, I think is pretty good. I've always felt kind of locked out of contexts and rooms and social strata and all of these other words that get used in the text. It's a way to kind of acknowledge the difference that exists between one side of the train tracks and the other, so to speak, where you are from the wrong side of town, and the class aspect of which sonorities are accessible to which people.
This project, Mapping the Valleys of the Uncanny, could it be seen as an attempt to reach another state, to tap into a new sphere somehow?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I want to be a lot freer, in the way that I make music, and within this project, I wanted to explore some things that I hadn't explored so much previously. So yes, it's a way to try to get inside of that room, that I felt I hadn't had much access to.
And do you feel like you have more access now?
Well, it's a different kind of access, and in a lot of ways I want to believe that it's a way of working which allows me more control, at a level that I wouldn't have been able to achieve had I gone through the process and method of writing small black dots on white paper and then handing those to a conductor, which in turn communicates with 100 people who make up an ensemble that predominantly performs music by classical composers like Bach, Brahms, Beethoven, and other dead old guys.
You're just hijacking that part of it.
I'm hoping to make some music that I like the sound of, and hopefully other people do too, and I couldn't have made this music sound this way, in any other way. It's sort of a hack, I guess.